Part 20. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 191. It is also necessary to compensate for the footprints of fate by oneself. Chapter 230, Had a nightmare. Only. If Xinghao can follow the Star Core Hunter's script and continue to become stronger. Are there any traces of this destiny? It doesn't seem to matter either. Give it to Shalava, let her strength go further and feel better. Bo Chang thought for a long time, but in the end he still had no idea. First absorb one yourself first. Bo Chang sat by the bed, picked up a trace of destiny, and used his own destiny power to absorb it. There is nothing difficult about the process. Bo Chang only needs to release his destiny power. The golden light in the glass ball was shining. Little by little, it poured from the palm of his hand into Bo Chang's body, and he could clearly feel that his path of destruction was constantly being expanded. The power of destiny that can be summoned is also increasing continuously. Soon the time doubled. Certainly. This is because the power of destiny in Bo Chang's body was too weak before, so the effect was so strong. It will definitely slow down gradually in the future. I didn't know how to improve my destiny power at first, but I didn't expect that I would find a way so soon. The corners of Bo Chang's mouth curled up slightly. All this is given by aha. Bo Chang didn't play games with the other party in vain, after he and Yin Lang suffered a painful truth or dare together. The harvest is still pretty good. I have to say. The feeling of expanding one's life path is very subtle. Bo Chang felt completely relaxed and mentally satisfied. It was as if there was no need to sleep at all. Ever since. Bo Chang really didn't rest that night. From beginning to end, I am absorbing the special power in the footprints of destiny. It wasn't until the next morning, when March 7th came knocking on the door, that Bo Chang slowly opened his eyes. A glint of light flickered in the black pupils. After absorbing it for several hours, the golden light of this fateful footprint dissipated a lot. But it looks like it will take a while to absorb. Bo Chang, are you up? Uncle Yang asked us to go down for dinner. I'll come down when I change my clothes. Bo Chang replied that he was busy improving his strength last night. Didn't even change clothes. Or a tattered bathrobe. Okay, March 7th turned around, I'll go down first, you can come over later. The footsteps of the pink-haired girl gradually moved away. Bo Chang tidied up, then took out the storage bag from the system space and put all his things in it. There are more and more props now. There is such a storage bag nearby. It is indeed much more convenient. Put the little yellow bag into your arms. There is obviously a lot of stuff inside, but now I can't feel the weight at all. Bo Chang set out to go downstairs. Without the oath spear and cyber flying sword, he only felt light all over. Everyone felt much more at ease. Come downstairs. Bo Chang found that except for Walter Yang, Dan Heng, and March Chi, no one else had come down yet. It seems I'm quite early. Bo Chang said so. Dan Heng's eyes glanced back and forth on him, his expression a little confused. I feel like you are a little different from yesterday. Different? Bo Chang touched his chin. Dan Heng nodded and said, that's right, Bo Chang, why did the power of fate in you suddenly become stronger? And it still feels a little unstable. About starting a path of destruction. It's not a secret. It's just that no one cares about it because it's too weak. And now Bo Chang has more than one destiny power. In addition to destruction, there is also the development of destiny. Not long after the path of destruction began. Opening up a new path will naturally begin. This is also a benefit of the Stardome train. Those who join the train, as long as they have talent, will sooner or later find a way to develop their lives. Compared to Bo Chang, the star opens much earlier. It didn't take long for me to start a new career on Star Train. It's just that the power is too weak. Oh, this is it? Actually, I got 2 gadgets last night. It is said that absorbing the power in them can strengthen the destiny, so I... March 7th interrupted Bo Chang and said, those 2 glass balls. Last night. Of course March 7th knew about Bo Chang's 2 glass balls. Dan Heng and Walter Yang's eyes fell on the pink-haired girl. His eyes revealed confusion. March 7th quickly waved his hand and explained, that's it, when we got up in the middle of the night, we saw Bo Chang sneaking back, so we knew this. So that's it? Walter Yang nodded slightly. Although both he and Dan Heng felt that things might not be that simple. But since March 7th wanted to hide it, Walter Yang had no idea of getting to the bottom of it. Personal affairs of Star Train members. It's better to take less care. Seeing this, Bo took out the storage bag from his arms and touched inside. Then he took out the footprint of destiny that he had used. This is... Walter Yang frowned slightly. Bo Chang said, the footprint of destiny, I used it to strengthen the power of destiny last night. This thing, I have heard of it, but I didn't expect you to be able to get it. Walter Yang didn't want to ask about the origin, but you can't rush to strengthen your destiny. Even if you have the help of a rare treasure, you have to take it slowly, so as not to make the foundation unstable. Dan Heng nodded, and it seemed that he agreed with Walter Yang's statement. Bo Chang put the footprint of destiny back into the storage bag and said, I know. Last night he had the intention of forcing things to grow. So now the destructive destiny in the body is not very stable, and people can easily feel it. March 7 came over all of a sudden. You have space equipment on you. Yeah. Bo Chang nodded. March 7 stretched out his hand unreasonably and said, let me see. I won't show you. Bo Chang replied. The two began to touch each other. Dan Heng and Walter Yang simply walked to the other side to make room for them. Just when Ba Kang and Sanyuki were playing around, Sing and Bailu walked down the stairs together. The gray-haired girl rubbed her eyes as she walked and said hello. Good morning. Sing, what's wrong? It looks like you didn't sleep well last night. Sanyuki stopped and asked curiously. Sing glanced at the pink-haired girl and said, well, I had a nightmare last night. Nightmare? What nightmare? Sanyuki widened her eyes. Sing looked at the black-haired boy with her calm golden pupils and said, I dreamed of Ba Kang. Sanyuki was stunned for a moment, her brain working rapidly. Then she sighed softly. That was really a nightmare. Dreaming about me, why is it a nightmare? Ba Kang complained helplessly. At the same time, I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 192. Bo Chang also had a bad feeling in his heart. Scene continued, I dreamed that you and the Star Core Hunter played Truth or Dare together. Not only did you kiss, but you also made all kinds of intimate moves. Why did I have such a dream? Is this a memory from the past? Chapter 231, Invitation to Street Performance. Due to Dan Heng and Walter Yang having already moved away. So the only people who heard this were Bo Chang, San Yuqi and Bai Lu. I'm dying, dying, dying. Bo Chang looked calm on the outside. In fact, his little heart had turned into an engine, beating wildly in his body, making a thumping sound. Bo Chang's hand in his pocket had already clenched into a fist. Are the audiences that Aha mentioned actually real? And there was Seeing. Besides Seeing, who else? How many people saw that shameful scene? Damn it! Bo Chang only felt that his forehead had a faint cold sweat. At that time, Bo Chang was naked without hesitation, which was really too shameful. Thank you for the invitation. Her toes were already digging into the ground. What? There is such a thing? Which Star Core Hunter is it? Kafka. March 7 grabbed Seeng's shoulders and began to shake wildly. directly left an after image. Bo Chang quickly pressed the pink-haired girl's shoulders and said, "March, calm down first. If you shake like this, Sean won't be able to speak." "Oh, that's right." March 7 finally stopped, and her eyes looked at Bo Chang. "Do you know something?" "Me? What can I know? Sean just had a dream." Bo Chang showed a harmless smile. "At this time, you must reject it cleanly and beautifully. The more panicked you are, the calmer you must be. Bo Chang will not reveal his true colors." Sean thought for a moment and said, "I dreamed of the Star Core Hunter, Silver Wolf, who let us into the Luofu Immortal boat." "That hacker? I've seen her on the company's wanted list. Isn't she just a little girl? How could she?" March 7 crossed his arms and held up the beautiful scene in front of him. Bo Chang couldn't help but glance at it, then quickly retracted his gaze, pretending that nothing had happened. Bai Lu was still a little confused, and didn't know what was going on for a while. Sean gently stroked his forehead. To be honest, when he thought of the dream, Silver Wolf pressed Bo Chang's waist and said while pushing, "I beat you. Beat you. Beat you." Sean felt a little uncomfortable. That scene really made people feel choked up. What's more, the two sides kissed each other mouth to mouth once. "Sean, it's just a dream, don't worry about it," Bo Chang said, and walked forward to rub the gray-haired girl's head. Her soft hair felt very good to touch. "Now, the Star Core Hunter will no longer bother me. Even if Bo Chang and Sean make some intimate gestures, it doesn't matter at all. But they still can't be too intimate in public. Otherwise, Sanyuki and others will not let it go." "Yeah." Sean nodded slowly. Although she said so. But Sean still felt that it was true. It can be said that it is a woman's sixth sense. She did guess very accurately. Sanyuki touched her chin and looked at him with a scrutinizing look, saying, "Bo Chang, do you really know nothing? You are not having an affair with Silver Wolf? Sanyu, if you guess so randomly, I will sue you for defamation." Bo Chang said unhappily. The chat here finally attracted the attention of Walter Yang and Dan Hung. "What are you talking about?" Dan Hung came over. Bo Chang took the lead and said, "Sean had a nightmare again, so I am counseling her and told her not to think too much." "Is that so?" Dan Hung didn't care. At this time, Shiluwa and Kinkei also came down from the building. The Mahjong girl said, "Good morning, everyone, where are we going to play cards today?" "No cards, no cards." March 7 shook his head repeatedly. "Last night, she was attacked from both sides by Kinkei and Ba Kang. The pink-haired girl was beaten to the point of having no temper, so naturally she had no intention of playing cards again." Sean was also a little tired. Seeing that the topic was diverted, Ba Kang immediately added fuel to the fire and said, "Shiluwa, how did you feel about your street performance last night?" "Not bad, Luofu Xianzhou quite appreciates rock music." Shiluwa smiled. "Last night, someone wanted me to sign a contract and debut as an idol or something. Did you agree?" March 7 looked at Shiluwa. She shook her head and said, "Of course I didn't agree. Being an idol is not as comfortable as traveling around with the Starry Sky train. If she stayed in Luofu Xianzhou." This was contrary to Shiluwa's original idea. At that time, Shiluwa wanted to catch up with Ba Kang on one hand, and also wanted to see the outside world on the other. These two reasons supported each other. That's why Shiluwa boarded the Starry Sky train. "That's true." March 7 put one hand on his waist. Sean's eyes were still a little melancholy, always vaguely falling on Bo Chang. It seemed that the gray-haired girl still hadn't come out of the dream. There was no way. The things in the dream were too real, just like watching a movie. "Aha, aha, you are really insidious, secretly setting a trap for me." After this incident, The gratitude that Bo Chang had for the joyful star god in his heart disappeared in an instant. Walter Yang pushed his black-framed glasses and said, "Since everyone is here, let's go. It's time to have breakfast now." No one objected to this. So, under the leadership of Walter Yang, the group set off in a mighty manner and headed for the reserved restaurant. After a delicious breakfast, Bo Chang and others chose to wander around the Xingcha Center. The Star Core crisis ended yesterday, and the Extinction Lord Huanlong was also repelled. These things have spread all over the streets and alleys. The order of Luofu Xianzhou is slowly recovering, and the number of residents on the street is visibly increasing. Looking at the people coming and going on the Xianzhou, Bo Chang said, "Uncle Yang, what are we going to do next?" Ms. Haida invites you to continue to go to her laboratory in the afternoon. As for the morning, there is nothing to do. You can act on your own. It is best to go in groups of 2 or 3. Try not to leave the Xingcha Center. Walter Yang looked around. "I will just walk around and see if there is anything I need to do." Walter Yang is a person who can't sit still. After getting such an answer, Bo Chang, Sanyuki, and others looked at each other. Bai Lu said, "Why don't we go shopping and have something delicious nearby? I will continue to perform on the street." Zillowa wants to bring rock music to all parts of the universe. Luofu Xianzhou is the first stop. Of course, Zillowa took advantage of her free time to perform. She also invited him. "Do you want to come with me, Ba came? I saw that Luofu Xianzhou also sells bass last night. What do you think?" The romance option is now open. Option 1, agree on the spot, okay. Completion reward, the threefold gaze of the Yandere. Note, watch your back. Option 2, refuse directly, no, completion reward, you will be hit by a car when you go out. Chapter 232, visit Xingcha Center again. Option 3, change the date to the evening, completion reward, get random props, ranging from matches to star destroyers. Note, this type of prop will. Options 1 and 2 are definitely not options. After all, they are negative rewards. Bakame stared at option 3. This time, the option did not give a specific operation. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 193. Bo Chang could only play freely. After a little thought, he had an idea. Option 3. Well, Zillowa, are you going to perform outside tonight? Bo Chang asked. Zillowa, who was carrying a black guitar, said, I plan to continue to perform tonight. What's the matter? Then I will perform with you tonight. There are other things to do during the day. Bo Chang replied. Zillowa smiled. Okay, then come back tonight, just send me a message when the time comes. Yeah. Bo Chang nodded. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on obtaining the truth fruit. This prop melts in your mouth. Those who eat it will tell the truth within 24 hours. The truth fruit? Interesting. Bo Chang muttered to himself. Just as the two were chatting, Sanyuki, Sing, and Bailu were discussing where to go. Kinke didn't care. After knowing that everyone didn't want to play cards, she looked lost. Put on an expression that says it doesn't matter what you want to do. Wait for Zillowa to turn around and leave. March 7 said, Bo Chang, Sing, Bailu, and I have already discussed it. Next, we will go around the Xingcha Center. You, Bailu and Zillowa have gone around, but Sing and I haven't. You will accompany us, right? No problem. Bo Chang nodded. Anyway, we are free, so why not go shopping and have fun? And after what happened last night, the Star Core Hunter will not come to attack again. The safety of everyone on the Star Dome train on the Luofu ferry boat can be said to be greatly improved. There is no need to worry about anything. Where is Dan Hung? Xin looked around nearby. Bo Chang thought for a while and said, he seems to have left with Uncle Yang just now. Then forget about them, let's go and have fun by ourselves. March 7 put his hands on his hips. Now Walter Yang, Dan Hung, and Zilliwa have temporarily left the team. Bo Chang and others went shopping in the Xingcha Sea Center. They ate and drank along the way, and bought some small accessories. Time slipped away silently. Xin and Sanyuki were still looking at accessories in the shop next door. The Fox female clerk was eloquent and kept promoting various products in the store. Bo Chang always didn't like to pick and choose products, so he just went outside to get some fresh air. Kinkei, as a guide, was very dedicated to helping Sanyuki and Xin choose products to avoid being cheated. Bailu was not competent at all. Bo Chang was getting some fresh air outside, and she was also getting some fresh air outside. The two sat on a bench. Bo Chang was distracted, and Bailu was holding a cup of milk tea and drinking it vigorously. The slender dragon tail swung back and forth behind him. From time to time, it would also hit Bo Chang. After putting the tail of the little dragon lowly down again, Bo Chang glanced at her and said, Bailu, drink less milk tea, be careful not to get fat in the future. It's only the third cup of happy tea today, I won't get fat. Bailu swung her little feet. Although life has been dangerous these days, you need to fight from time to time. But Bailu feels very exciting and free. In short, during this period of time, Bailu had a lot of fun, or she had never been so happy before. Bo Chang didn't say anything, just rubbed the other's little head. The little dragon lowly made a snoring sound. It was like petting a cat. Bo Chang felt that his body and mind were healed. Turning his head to look at the well-behaved Bailu, she also turned around as if she had something. Looking at Bo Chang's eyes, Bailu's face was handsome, and there was a little light eyeshadow next to her big eyes. The little dragon lowly was holding the fairy happy tea. Looking at the pair of clear eyes that revealed a little stupidity, a sentence flashed through Bo Chang's mind. Look at Bailu for 1 minute and get rid of your bad habits. At this moment, the little dragon girl remembered something, her eyebrows frowned, and said, Bo Chang, I have a question. What's the question? Are you leaving soon? Bailu looked at Bo Chang quietly. The Star Core disaster has been resolved, and the day when everyone leaves Luofu Xianzhou is indeed approaching. Of course, the pioneering journey of the Star Dome train will not stop. Bo Chang will not stay in the Xianzhou. There will be more journeys in the future. I really envy you, you can run around as you please, unlike me. At this point, Bailu sighed. Bo Chang said, it doesn't matter. Bailu has a teleportation ring now, right? If you want to come out to play in the future, just contact me remotely, and then teleport directly. No one can stop you, and it doesn't matter if you play for a longer time. After all, I will give Master Tabu another teleportation ring, and you can teleport directly to her in the future. Bo Chang said this. Bailu's eyes sparkled. That's great, Bo Chang, I will rely on you in the future. Teach each other. Bo Chang's big hand went down and rubbed Bailu's 2 braids. The dragon lowly has very lush hair. A pair of pigtails can be said to be very beautiful. When Bo Chang was about to say something, Xin walked out of the store. Bo Chang, what do you think of this bracelet? On the slender wrist of the gray-haired girl, there was an emerald bracelet, and the emerald green color was quite beautiful. Bo Chang took back his hand that was playing with the pigtail and said, it looks good. Really? Xing's expression did not change much. Now when she saw Bo Chang's face, she would think of the dream last night. Her mood was inevitably a little complicated. Bo Chang said without blushing or beating his heart, Of course, would I lie to you? After matching the emerald table, Xing's fair and slender wrist, there was a touch of luxurious temperament. The emerald green color also complemented the faintly visible blue blood vessels on the skin. After getting such an answer, Xing thought for a while and said, in that case, let's go with this bracelet. It looks like Xing has made up her mind to buy this. Then, after Sanyuki makes her choice, we can go to the next place. It's really troublesome to go shopping with girls. Won't they be tired? Bakame thought to himself. The group soon set off again. Walked to a certain place. Xing suddenly stopped and pointed to a shop hidden in a corner and said, I want to go there. Bakame and others looked in the direction the gray-haired girl pointed. 4 big words came into view. Sex shop. Bakame. Kinke. Sanyuki. Chapter 233 Bangzia. Maybe it's because Bakame said he liked tails last time. So, Xing has an inexplicable curiosity about that kind of shop. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 194. This is not good. And Kinke and Sanyuki didn't dare to approach that kind of store. Under the push of the two, Xing had to give up. She looked at Bakame with pitiful eyes, as if she wanted to ask for his consent. For this kind of thing, Bakame did not let Xing do whatever she wanted. Just like last time, he refused with confidence. Then he took Xing's hand. Drag her away. The leisure time did not last too long. While Bakame and others were shopping, a female pharmacist from Dandingsi came to the door. She was from Xianzhou and her name was Bangzia. This guy begged the dragon girl to save her lover, Liang Mu. That was a short-lived species who came to Xianzhou to seek medicine, because he suffered from an incurable disease. So he wanted to try his luck in Luofu Xianzhou. The two fell in love and met each other because of this. At least that's what Bangzia said. Liang Mu's illness is extremely special. Even many famous doctors in Luofu Xianzhou cannot cure it, so you plan to find Bai Lu? March 7 put one hand on his waist. Bangzia replied, yes, if we follow the normal process and want Lord Bai Lu to come for consultation in person, the time is already scheduled for 30 years later. We can't wait that long, so we can only come here presumptuously. After saying that, Bangzia coughed twice, and it seemed that her condition was not very good. Bai Lu observed carefully. You seem to have symptoms of the demonic body. Do you need my treatment? No. No, I know my own situation very well. Bangzia shook her head. I just hope Lord Bai Lu can help me treat my lover. This. Unable to make up his mind, Bai Lu looked at Bo Chang. Mumbled. Bo Chang said, Bai Lu, if you want to help, go ahead. We don't care. Anyway, we don't have anything to do. Really, the little dragon girl scratched her head, but I don't really want to go. Ah, this. Bo Chang was speechless for a moment. Ban Xia begged, Lord Bai Lu, please help me. I can only rely on you now. At the beginning, Ban Xia planned to take Bai Lu away from Danding Si. As a deal, to help her lover cure his illness. I think Bai Lu couldn't refuse. It's a pity. There are unexpected events in the world, and people are in danger at any time. Ban Xia had already made up her mind. When she arrived at the dragon girl's forbidden residence, she found out Bai Lu had already escaped and was not in Danding Si at all. This also caused Ban Xia to be in a mess for a while. She could only escape from Danding Si alone. After searching for a long time in the outside world, she finally met Bai Lu in the center of Xingcha Sea. Bangzia was able to hold on until now, relying entirely on one breath, otherwise she would have fallen into the devil's body long ago. Bai Lu was a little distressed. After hesitating for a moment, Bailu sighed and said, since you and I are both doctors of the Danding division, I will do you this favor. Bangzia, where is the patient? He is now, in Liuyandu. Bangzia's voice became more and more hoarse, and her face was also very ugly. Bo Chang's pupils flashed. This symptom means, she is going to fall into the devil's body. This thought just came to mind. Countless ugly brown branches emerged from Bangzia's body, tearing the pharmacist robe of the Danding division, and swaying the yellow ginkgo leaves on it in the air. This is the street. Bangzia, who suddenly fell into the devil's body, caused the people of the ferry boat to scream. They fled in a hurry. The place was cleared instantly. Sanyuki, Singh, and Kinke were ready for battle. What's wrong with me? Bangzia looked at her body and felt a little incredible. Her body stood up uncontrollably. Is this, the devil's body? Bailu was frightened and took a half step back. Suddenly realized something. Bailu said, how can you still stay awake? Could it be, you are from the Medicine King's secret? The little loli of the dragon clan was not aimless. According to the current situation, after falling into the devil's body, only the Medicine King's secret can stay awake. Others, even if they are unwilling, once they fall into the devil's body, they will lose their minds and launch a fierce attack on the people around them. Although the Yunkai army has carried out a major purge of the Medicine King's secret organization in Danding division, but it is normal that there are still some small fish and shrimps hiding outside. I am indeed a member of the Medicine King's secret, but I don't want to hurt Lord Bailu, I really. Bangzia hasn't finished speaking yet. Bo Chang stretched out his hand and patted her shoulder, and a white light bloomed from his palm. The symptoms of the devil's body disappeared quickly, as if they had never appeared. Bangzia was stunned for a moment. So, what exactly is going on? Please explain it to me. Bo Chang crossed his arms. If you have bad intentions, I advise you to give up those bad ideas as soon as possible and turn yourself in honestly. Bangzia is a ferry boat woman with short black hair and an ordinary appearance. Nothing to praise. Bo Chang stared at Bangzia's green pupils with a trace of scrutiny in his eyes. If this guy had evil intentions and planned to resist, he wouldn't mind killing one more member of the Medicine King's secret tradition. Thinking about yesterday, Bo Chang and Walter Young made a killing. Those members of the Medicine King's secret were swept away as easily as garbage, unable to make any waves. Bangzia suppressed the curiosity in her heart. Tell the whole story. March 7 frowned and said, is this person really trustworthy? Don't think it's the secret conspiracy of the King of Medicine. It seems that they have been wiped out in the Danding division, but in fact they have been dealt with just a little boss. The real big boss hasn't actually come forward yet. As long as we go to Liuyandu and Bangzia throws a cup at us, 500 swordsmen will jump out and cut us into pieces in an instant. March Kishaw said it with some seriousness. Kincaid thought it made sense, so he agreed. Then, we just hand her over to the Yunkai army, and then we can forget about the rest. Bo Chang shook his head and said, March, you are exaggerating. That's what the book says. March 7 put his hands on his hips. Bo Chang looked at the pink-haired girl angrily. You also know that it is a book. In short, Ban Xia is here to find Bailu. It's up to you to decide everything. I support you unconditionally. Even if there is really a conspiracy in this matter, it doesn't matter. Bo Chang touched the little Lolita's head. Are there any traps? Is this important? Bo Chang was still very confident in his own strength. At worst, he would use his hands to kill poison. What's more, he doesn't think that the Medicine King's secret biography has any hidden power. Chapter 234 Morning Tea. After hesitating for a moment, Bailu decided to help Bangzia. So, the group of people began to move towards Liuyandu. On the way, they also encountered the Yunkai army for interrogation. This is the impact of Bangxia's fall into the demonic body just now. However, after seeing that it was Bo Chang and others, Yun Qi let them go. The Star Core crisis of Luofu Xianzhou has ended. Although there are world-splitting creations and Medicine King secret members scattered in various places, they can't achieve anything. The Yunkai army only needs to defeat them one by one. Bangxia's pharmacist's robe was full of holes. The ragged look made her feel like she had just been insulted. Fortunately, the hole was not in some secret place. So Bangxia had no idea of changing clothes for the time being, but impatiently led everyone to Liuyandu. Bo Chang can feel it. Bangxia really likes the man named Liang Mu. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 195. Walk on the road. In the end, Bangxia couldn't help but ask, what happened just now? Obviously I had fallen into the devil's body, but you just patted me on the shoulder, and then I recovered. I feel that I am in good condition now, and I have no symptoms of falling into the demonic body again. This is, simply unheard of. The body of the devil is for the immortal species. It's not a disease. It's like the natural aging and death of short-lived species. Even Bai Lu, who has superb medical skills, cannot achieve such a miracle. Bo Chang didn't care. This is just one of my abilities. Bangxia. Bai Lu said, I'm surprised. I was also surprised when I first knew about this. But since it's Bo Chang, it's normal for him to be able to do it. And don't think that your demon yin can do it, the body has been healed. I know. Bangxia nodded. Demon yin body is a strange disease common to immortal species, and there is no cure for it. By all means. They are just delaying the onset of the demonic body. The difference is the length of the delay. After Bo Chang's treatment, Bangxia felt that her body could last for several more decades and that she could accompany Liang Mu until she grew old. Talk while walking. After arriving at the place where we took the Xingcha, Ba Kame and others met Yunkai's newcomer Sushang. Li Dajhen, who was originally idle and bored, immediately became energetic when he saw an acquaintance coming over. Bai Lu, Bo Chang, Ching Ke. Sushang said hello one by one. Why are you here? Li Dajhen is quite enthusiastic. Bo Chang spoke first. We are going to Liuyandu. Liuyandu, Sushang frowned slightly. The place has not been cleaned up yet. I'm afraid there are still many monsters wandering around. It is very dangerous. Otherwise, I will take you there. Don't look at me as a newcomer who just joined Yunkai. In fact, I am very capable of fighting. Sushang showed off her muscles. A cloud cavalry army volunteered, and Bo Chang and others did not refuse. It happened that they also needed someone to open Xingcha. Then please leave it to Sushang. Bo Chang slightly arched his hands. Li Dajhen scratched his head and said with a smile, you're welcome, this is what I should do. Until everyone sat on the Xingcha. Sushang asked belatedly. By the way, why are you going to Liuyandu? Is it possible that some of your friends are trapped inside? If you put it that way, it doesn't matter. Bo Chang touched his chin, but we used to treat others. That's it, then when the meeting is over, let's take the people to the center of Xingcha. Liuyandu is very unsafe. Sushang replied. Ba Kame said, it depends on your arrangement. This time when he went to Liuyandu, while rescuing Liang Mu, Bo Chang also wanted to go back to the star train. After all, according to Haida, there is a doll on it. After thinking about it, Bo Chang, who was sitting on the Xingcha, took out his mobile phone and sent a message to GZI. The nuclear disaster on the planet has been lifted, and mobile phone communications have improved a lot. Waited for only a few minutes. Heimko, do you want to come and see it on the Star Dome train? Okay, I've been away for a few days and I still don't know what happened to you. When you come back, Tell me about it. Bo Chang, okay. Heimko, let's have some morning tea by the way and show you the coffee I just brewed. Heimko, smoky coffee pictures.jpg. Bo Chang opened it and took a look, then showed the expression of an old man on his subway phone. About Heimko's coffee. That's really impressive. This is not a question of whether it tastes good or not. It's really, really special. It looks like coffee, it smells like coffee, but it tastes like coffee and kills people. When I first discovered that, I didn't even dare to taste March 7th. Bo Chang knew that the problem was huge. But at GZI's invitation, Bo Chang reluctantly took a sip. Just one bite. There is a beauty that hurts the esophagus. Bo Chang, it looks delicious. Heimko, is there a possibility that it really tastes good? Bo Chang, you said the same thing last time. Bo Chang, Pam was frightened.jpg. Heimko, last time was the last time, and this time is this time. How can we generalize? Jitsi, come back soon, I'll wait for you at the Star Dome train. Jitsi, Pam likes it.jpg. Bo Chang turned his head, looked at Yuchi and Sean beside him, and said, I have good news for you. GZI has just brewed new coffee and is waiting for us to drink it when we go back. Are you sure this is good news? March 7th was speechless. Sean showed a scared expression and said, do you really want to drink? Think back to the beginning. The first time I drank coffee brewed by Heimko. Sean Lao took a big sip and then fainted instantly. It took several minutes to wake up. So until now. Sean was still a little afraid of Jitsi's coffee. Ba Kame said, just drink a little. Don't be afraid. We all share the blessings and share the hardships. Who wants to share the same difficulties with you? March 7th curled her lips, if you want to go back to drink coffee, please don't drag me with you. I'll be outside fighting monsters later. Okay, if you are so determined in March, let me accompany you. Sushang said before. The new member of Yunkai who is willing to help others cannot refuse such a task. March 7th also agreed to Sushang's request for help. Bo Chang asked. Seeing, what about you? Are you going with me or March? The pink-haired girl immediately hugged Seeng's hand and said, of course you're leaving with me. It depends on yourselves. If we are together, it would be good to take care of each other. Bo Chang didn't care. Xinjia didn't say anything, so he acquiesced. Time passed slowly. Flowing cloud crossing. Arriving soon. After 3 days, Bo Chang came here again. I just came to Luofu Xianzhou. Bo Chang was still a little confused in his heart. After all, this was a completely unknown place, but it was different now. The original worries no longer exist. Bo Chang followed everyone down Xingcha. Travel through the outpost of the Cloud Cavalry Army. Ban Xia led everyone to search for a long time, but could not find Liang Mu's whereabouts. I just found a few messages. It is said that during the period of hiding in Liuyandu, Liang Mu had to avoid not only the members of the Medicine King's secret legend, but also the people of the Ten Kings division. So I kept changing my hiding place. As a result, Bo Chang and the others can't find anyone at all now. Chapter 235 Return to the Star Dome train. Did something happen to him? Liuyandu is indeed very dangerous. Sushang muttered. Bangzia couldn't accept it and said, no. No way, Liang Mu must still be here, it's just that we didn't find him. He has always been smart, so he must be hiding. Although Lita Pillow looks a bit silly. But I also knew that I couldn't break Bangzia's fantasy at this time. So Sushang changed the topic. Why is Liang Mu avoiding the 10 Kings? Because he is a medicine seeker. Bangzia said so. These things were written in the note left by Liang Mu. Unfortunately, Suchang had little literacy and could not understand many words. She didn't bother to look. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 196. As for what the medicine seeker is, seeing, Bo Chang and March Chi are not sure. If Walter Young were here, he would definitely be able to answer questions. It's a pity that Uncle Yang is not around. Fortunately, there is a talented mahjong girl from Tapuz here. King K replied, the medicine seeker is a person who prays for longevity to the longevity plague ancestor. A long time ago, Xianzhou was the medicine seeker. As for now, the medicine seeker is in Xianzhou. But it's very unpopular. Once discovered, they are usually deported. This must be the truth about Liang Mu hiding in Liuyandu. The mahjong girl talked freely. Suchang nodded thoughtfully and said, so that's the case, then, as a newcomer to Yunkai, shouldn't I arrest him? That's true, but we need to find the person first and cure him. King K stretched out his hand. After all, Bai Lu had promised Bangxia to help cure her illness. Ba Kame said, don't chat yet, another world-splitting creature appears ahead. If you don't take action, leave it to me. Let me come. On March 7th, he immediately bent his bow and set an arrow, and shot towards the imaginary leaf weaver. This arrow did not achieve any merit. However, on March 7th, there was more than one arrow. 4 or 5 arrows chased the stars and the moon, killing them instantly. Sushang applauded, beautiful. It's average. March 7th showed a shy smile. Then everyone searched around Liuyandu again, but Ba Kame and others still found no trace of Liang Mu. The guy didn't know where he went. Ban Xia, when was the last time you and Liang Mu contacted each other? Bo Chang couldn't help but ask. Bangxia, who looked anxious, thought for a while. That was a few days ago. Ever since the Star Core crisis broke out, it has been difficult for me to contact Liang Mu. Now that the Star Core crisis has been resolved, although there is still the influence of the world split here, there is still a chance that you can be contacted by sending a message. How about you try again? Bo Chang shook his head gently, if we can't get in touch, we have to leave. After all, time is precious and I don't want to waste it anymore. Bangxia, do you understand? Wandering around Liuyandu for so long. Bo Chang and others didn't do anything, but they killed a lot of monsters here. It can be regarded as doing Luofu Xianzhou a favor. All this. King K records everything in a small notebook. I will definitely report it to Lord Tabo after I return. I'll contact Liang Mu right now. He must be hiding. He must be. Bangxia tries to contact her lover. Still found nothing. Everyone had no choice but to go home. Bai Lu looked at the dejected Bangxia, and couldn't help but comfort her, that short-lived man is a medicine seeker. Bangxia, is he really worth your efforts? Lord Bai Lu, you don't understand. Bangxia searched for a long time, but couldn't find Liang Mu and had no intention of messing around. Sushang said, this should be the power of love. As an immortal, you fall in love with a short-lived. This is really a tragedy. I'm afraid you can only see it in books. The topic suddenly became a bit heavy. The short-lived species mentioned by Bai Lu and Sushang. It also includes Bo Chang, even Xing, Yu Qi, and others. Certainly. Regarding whether Xing March 7th is a species of immortality, no one can say this clearly. After all, no one knows their own life experience. Star has no memory, and March 7th also has no memory. Bo Chang confirmed that he was a short-lived species. But Bai Lu may not think that he is a short-lived species. After all, he smells too strong of a dragon. and just wait for Bo Chang to get the dog charm. At that time, they can also call themselves immortal species. The theory of lifespan, I still don't know how long I can live. March 7 sighed with emotion. Seeing also nodded. Bo Chang does not intend to discuss this topic in depth. Ahead is where the Star Dome train stops. I'm going to find GZI and have a chat with her. Which of you wants to go with me? Bo Chang turned around and looked at the girls next to him. Bai Lu raised her hands and said, me. Count me in, I can just go to the Star Dome train for a ride. King K stood next to Bo Chang. March 7 held Xing's hand and said, let's go out with Sushang to fight monsters, and by the way, give Pinelia Turnata to the Yunkai army. As a member of the Medicine King's secret family, Bangzia will definitely go to jail next. When Bai Lu agreed to help, it was just out of good intentions. After a brief exchange, Bo Chang and others divided their troops into two groups. On March 7, Xing, Sushang and Pinelia go together. Bo Chang, Bai Lu, and Qing Ke are together. He left not long ago. Bo Chang came to the star train. After shouting a little, the train door slowly opened. Pam stood at the door and said, passenger Bo Chang, welcome back Pam, how have you been playing outside during this time? Not bad. Bo Chang answered casually. Pam looked at Bai Lu and Qing Ke. These two are. They are the friends I made at Luofu Immortal Boat. This is Bai Lu from the Alchemy Division, and this is King K from the Table Division. I am also grateful to them for taking care of me during this period. Bo Chang extended his hand to introduce. Bai Lu looked surprised when she saw the lop-eared rabbit standing up. Pam, is this the train conductor? He looks so cute. It looks like a large doll. King K stared at Pam. Faced with such words, Pam was not surprised. He glanced at King K and Bai Lu, and then turned his attention to Bo Chang. Heimko has been waiting for you for a long time. Ba Kame said, I'll go see her right away. Saying. Bo Chang was the first to step into the Star Dome train, followed closely by Qing Ke and Bai Lu, who looked at everything inside. Just looking at it from the outside, the Star Dome train is not very big. But as soon as you walk in, the space will increase exponentially. The Star Dome train itself also uses space folding technology. The exterior size and interior space are completely different. Jitsi was sitting in the train hall at this time, holding a cup of hot coffee, reading the newspaper and drinking coffee. A long distance away, Bo Chang could feel the powerful aura. To be able to drink that kind of coffee without changing my expression is really amazing. Chapter 236, The Realism of Dolls. You're back. Hearing the footsteps, Jitsi turned her head with a smile. Looking at that familiar face, Bo Chang nodded and said, well, I'm back. Where are March and Xing? Why didn't you see them? Jitsi's eyes paused on Bai Lu and King Ke. Bo Chang had no intention of speaking ill of the two of them. They have other things to do, so they need to be delayed for a while. Okay, Jitsi shrugged slightly. Although she guessed something in her mind, she didn't have any idea. Lucky boy, it seems that you are the only one here to taste the delicious food this time. But, before that, please introduce these two girls. GZI finished speaking. Bo Chang briefly introduced King K and Bai Lu as before. This is Jitsi, you can just call her that. Bo Chang spread his hands. King K and Bai Lu nodded and said hello. Don't be formal, come here and sit. Heimko pointed to the soft sofa next to her. King K and Bai Lu sat down respectively. Not another word was said. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 197. Bo Chang came to GZI and sat on the chair opposite her. The red-haired lady looked him up and down with her golden eyes and said, I haven't seen you for a few days. You seem to have become stronger again. Bo Chang was about to be modest. GZI changed the subject. Let's not talk too much. Come on, I'll make you a cup of coffee. GZI picked up the teapot beside her and started to operate it. Let's talk about it. GZI's coffee brewing skills are still very good. The movements are smooth and flowing. Quite elegant. Bo Chang waited quietly. It took nearly 5 minutes for GZI to brew a cup of coffee. This time is actually a little long. Anyway, Bo Chang thinks so. Try it. GZI handed the coffee she had just brewed to Bo Chang. Looking at the rich coffee, Bo Chang swallowed slightly, thinking of some bad memories, and he was signaled by GZI's eyes. Slowly picked up the teacup. Bo Chang took a sip. The bitter taste instantly filled the entire mouth and rushed straight to the mind. It made people dizzy. This was just the result of taking a small sip. If he drank like a cow, he would have collapsed. How do you feel? Bo Chang, I want to hear your opinion. GZI supported her chin with both hands. For a moment, there was a burst of girlish smell. Bo Chang pondered for a moment and said, it's a bit bitter, about the same as before. GZI, you seem to have put too much coffee powder. Is that so? GZI lowered her eyes, I think it tastes good. Maybe our tastes are different. Bo Chang was a little helpless. GZI smiled and said, that's why I want to hear your opinion. Well, let's not talk about this. What did you encounter in Luofu? Since you are here, talk to me. GZI put the coffee she had just brewed aside and poured Bo Chang a glass of water again. He took a sip. Bo Chang began to talk about everyone's experience in Luofu. Starting from meeting Tingyun on the flowing cloud ferry to defeating the great lord of extinction Huanlong. Bo Chang spoke very seriously. GZI also listened very seriously. Bai Lu and Ching Ke were playing on the side, but they also listened attentively to the adventure story. When they heard that they were going to appear, they couldn't help but feel a little turbulent in their hearts. Listened from beginning to end. GZI asked, was the Miss Tingyun you mentioned fake from the very beginning? This, I don't know. Bo Chang shook his head. Luofu is now busy. Looking for Tingyun is probably not listed as a very important matter. At least there has been no news until now. Bai Lu just sighed softly when she heard this. She and Tingyun were quite familiar with each other. Hearing that the other party's whereabouts were unknown, it was inevitable that there was a sigh. If the Starry Sky train had not come, Luofu would have suffered heavy losses this time. GZI believed the words of the Star Corps hunter. If the Starry Sky train and the Black Tower had not come this time, I'm afraid that the illusion of Jianmu's power would have been obtained. It's not something that Jing Yuan can deal with at all. After all, this closed-eyed general is not known for his strength. GZI, I heard that the Black Tower put a doll on the Starry Sky train. Is this true? Bo Chang interrupted the red-haired queen's thoughts. GZI nodded and said, yes, that's right. The Black Tower did put a doll on the Starry Sky train. She was drinking tea and chatting with me yesterday. Now she should be hanging up in your room. My room? What's going on? Bo Chang was stunned. GZI continued, the Black Tower pays more attention to you. You are the first one who can make her so interested. I don't think this is a good thing. Bo Chang shook his head. The Black Tower really pays attention to him. He even took the trouble to come all the way from the space station, just to study Bo Chang. After chatting casually for a few words, Bo Chang said goodbye to GZI. He returned to his room and saw the Black Tower doll. The lifelike doll sat motionless on the bed with its eyes closed. It looked like it was offline. Is this the doll that Haida said he would give me? He walked to the Haida doll. Bo Chang stared at the other person intently. But he saw that his face was delicate, his long brown hair was flowing, his eyes were closed, and his eyelashes were thin and long. When Haida was online before, Bo Chang didn't dare to observe so carefully, and he could only do so when the other person was offline. If you ignore the mechanical joints of the Haida doll, this is completely a sleeping beauty. The skin of the Haida doll also looks moist and shiny, very realistic. The love option is open. Option 1, please study the Haida doll in depth with the spirit of scientific exploration to see if it is realistic. Completion reward, Haida's big pussy pocket. Option 2, pinch the Haida doll's face to observe whether its body has normal physiological activities. Completion reward, get random props, from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, this type of prop will. Option 3, hold the Black Tower doll and sleep for a while. Completion reward, Black Tower's big bib. Option 4, give the Black Tower doll a big cunt and see if she reacts. Completion reward, get the skill, courting death. If you deliberately court death, you will never be beaten to death. Just like usual, the two big cunts are eliminated first. Bo Chang can only choose option 2 and option 4. The last one is still too risky, and Black Tower has never provoked me, but helped me. It is not appropriate to give a big cunt, so I can only choose option 2. I hope she won't wake up later. According to the description of option 4, Bo Chang felt that he just pinched his face, which should not cause Black Tower to wake up. Chapter 237, Lunch on the Starry Sky Train. The courting death skill is quite strange. Although it stands to reason that if it is operated properly, it can be combined with the horse spell to reach the conclusion of being invincible. But deliberately courting death is too vague. It doesn't feel that easy to activate. And Bo Chang can survive as long as he gets the dog spell, not to mention that he has the elementary school student card and the holy shield, and there is also a time stop skill that I am in a hurry. I don't feel much about the skill of committing suicide. Of course. The main reason is that the content of the options is too weird. It gives people a big fuss for no reason. Bo Chang really can't do it. In his room, follow the system prompts. Bo Chang stretched out his hands and pinched the face of the Black Tower doll. The skin feels good, no different from ordinary people, and you can feel a little warmth inside. He pinched the face of the Black Tower doll and moved it slightly. When he found that the system did not prompt that it was completed, Bo Chang realized that he had not done enough. Observe whether its body has normal physiological activities. How to do this? Bo Chang remembered that he had seen a set of pictures before crossing. Suddenly he had an inspiration. He squeezed his hand slightly, and the cherry mouth of the Black Tower doll opened. Next, I will put my fingers in. Forget it, my relationship with her is not that good, so don't do it too much. Bo Chang rationally did not stretch out his hand. He just observed from the outside. Between the lips and teeth of the Black Tower doll, you can see a trace of crystal water stains. The face is warm and the mouth is wet, so it seems, there are normal physiological activities. Bo Chang just had this thought in his mind. The system prompt sounded. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on getting the equipment, the teleportation ring, which can be teleported within 10 meters at will, with 3 grids of energy. Each use consumes 1 grid, and it takes 24 hours to recharge to restore 1 grid. Note, this type of prop will. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 198. Huh? I got hit again. Plus the teleportation ring that I haven't given away yet. Bo Chang already had 2 on him. Give away 1, and there will be 1 left. Bo Chang felt secretly happy at the same time. The Black Tower doll slowly opened its eyes, and those cold purple pupils reflected his face, as clear as a calm lake. Bo Chang could clearly see his expression. The scene was a little awkward for a while. What are you doing? Bo Chang blinked. I'm observing the doll. Aren't you going to give her to me anyway? Black Tower. I haven't given her to you yet, please let go of her. Haida said expressionlessly. Bo Chang was very obedient. Okay, okay, speaking of, why did you suddenly connect to this doll? Can you still sense the doll's situation when you are offline? Aren't you talking nonsense? Haida glanced at Bo Chang, with a hint of disdain in his eyes. If I hadn't come early. God knows what Bo Chang will do next. Huh, it's a good thing I didn't give her a big dick. The death-seeking skill seems to be entirely to prevent me from being beaten to death by the Black Tower. Bo Chang couldn't help complaining in his heart. Haida got out of bed and took a few casual steps. He didn't feel anything was wrong with the doll. Then he turned around and looked at Bo Chang. Haida said, remember to come to the laboratory on time in the afternoon, and, don't touch my puppet again. Having said that, the Black Tower doll closed its eyes again and seemed to have run away offline. Bo often scratched his head. At this time there was a knock on the door. Who? It's me, Bai Lu, Bo Chang. Is it convenient to come in now? You come in. Bo Chang had no idea of refusal. The little Lolita from the Dragon Clan pushed open the door and walked in. She looked around the room curiously and said, is this Bo Chang's room? It feels so simple. Just moved into Stardome train. Bo Chang's room contains only a table, 2 chairs, and a large bed. Nothing else. Compared to Bai Lu's forbidden residence, it was definitely much worse, and it's no wonder she expressed such emotion. After all, I've just joined Stardome train, and I like this simple decoration. Bo Chang smiled nonchalantly. You're not a girl, why would you make the room so beautiful? Just make it clean and tidy. That's right. Bai Lu's eyes fell on the Black Tower doll. Miss Black Tower, isn't she here now? I was here just now, but I'm gone now. Bo Chang took a look. The Black Tower puppet stood motionless. Bai Lu, what do you want from me? Bo Chang turned around. The little dragon Lolita said, GZ, I asked you to have lunch at the Stardome train before leaving. If you decide, she will go and prepare now. Okay. Bo Chang nodded in agreement. Then the two returned to the train hall together. Without March 7th, the atmosphere would not be lively. After GZI went to cook, Bo Chang, Bai Lu and Xing Ke stared at each other. It's so boring. Do you want to play cards? We didn't decide the winner yesterday. King K suddenly said. Bo Chang looked at the mahjong girl. We definitely can't fight now. There are only 3 of us. Jitsi wants to cook, but Pam can't. Isn't there Miss Haida? She should be able to play mahjong. King K said so. Bo Chang shook his head. Miss Haida is a very busy person. How could she come here to play mahjong with us? And she might not know how to do it. In the midst of small talk, time flies by slowly. On March 7th, it didn't take long for Scene to return to the Stardome train. Only the 2 of them returned. As for plain clothes, she took Bangzia to prison. It was just time for dinner when the 2 came back. Heimko wearing a white apron came out pushing the dining cart. There was an extremely rich amount of food inside. There are meat and vegetables, and the color is bright, which greatly increases the appetite of Bo Chang and others. At this time, Bo Chang suddenly remembered that he also had a skill called chef. Will you try it if you have a chance in the future? With this thought, Bo Chang began to eat. Although the coffee Jitsi brewed tasted terrible, but the food here is still delicious and delicious, making people want to have more bowls of white rice. Just on the way to lunch, March 7th also said, when we were wandering around Liuyanda just now, we seemed to have found Liang Mu's relics. He seemed to have been caught by the King of Medicine's secret disciples, and then died. That's it? Bo Chang didn't care much about Liang Mu. After all, This was someone I had never seen before. Ban Xia was crying anxiously at that time and almost fell into the devil's body again. Fortunately, Su Chang's quick hands and eyes knocked her out. March 7 chattered endlessly. Among the members of the Star Train, the pink-haired girl talks the most, while the others talk less. Scene was also eating silently, with no intention of interrupting. Oh, how pitiful, Bangxia falls in love with a short-lived species, but he still asks for medicine. Bai Lu shook her head slightly. Bo Chang added coldly. Panalaya is also the secret biography of the king of medicine. Sigh, that's right, they can be considered half-measured, but this is still a tragedy. Bai Lu sighed. At this time Scene was still working hard to cook. Finished a lunch. Ba Kame and others said goodbye to GZI, and they were about to leave the Star Dome train and go to the Xingsha Center again. Chapter 238 Multimillionaire. Walking on the quiet Liuyandu, Ba Kame said, I'm going to the Black Tower's laboratory next, how about you? I'll play outside. Call me when you're done. March 7 didn't want to watch the experiment anymore. It's too boring after all. Bai Lu, Ching Ke, and Xing all decided to go with March Chi. So, at the port of Liuyandu, Ba Kame and others took the Xingcha back to the center of the Xingcha Sea. As for the person who opened the Star Cha, naturally, it was Li Dajhen. She knew that Bo Chang and others were coming back, so she waited here specially. Su Shang is really helpful. Then I'll go ahead and see you at dinner. Bo Chang said hello to March 7 and others. Then, Bo Chang went to the laboratory of the Black Tower. Walking alone on the streets of Xingsha Center, Bo Chang couldn't help but think of Silver Wolf. I don't know what the other person is doing. Starcore Hunter, he has probably left the ferry boat. Well, not necessarily, he might still be here. Bo Chang shook his head slowly. Stroll through the streets. Not long after leaving, Bo Chang came to Haida's laboratory. The cold laboratory brings a depressing atmosphere to the surroundings. The door was closed tightly, and after Bo Chang announced, Esta personally came out to greet them. MS Black Tower is waiting inside, please follow me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 199. Yeah. Bo Chang nodded gently. Following Estelle through a long corridor, Bo Chang saw Haida again. She was wearing a little dress. She glanced at the black-haired boy and said, "You're on time. Then, let's continue our experiment." Bo Chang had no objection. Today's experiment was not much different from yesterday's. It was still testing the power of the rat spell, but there was no physical examination. Time passed slowly. After a series of experiments, Haida benefited a lot, and Estelle kept recording data beside her, doing what an assistant should do. Bo Chang thought about it, and finally couldn't help asking. "That, Miss Haida, I have a question, can you help me answer it? Just ask if you want to, no need to beat around the bush." Haida, who was fiddling with the microscope, raised his head. Bo Chang said, "Ms. Haida. How long will the experiment last? The data has been collected almost, there is nothing to do now. Today, Esther and I will go back to the Haida space station." The Haida puppet put his hands on his hips. "Don't worry, I won't take the Star Dome train puppet with me. I will leave it on the Star Dome train in the future. It's a gift to you. But, don't do anything strange to my puppet." Haida's eyes were a little cold. "Bo Chang, didn't you give me the puppet? You are not allowed to mess around even if I give it to you. I will log in remotely occasionally." At this point, Haida changed the subject. "There is one more thing. I heard that you have a thing called a teleportation ring that can teleport between two places, right? Bo Chang nodded and said, that's right. Then give one to Esther. In the future, you can come to the space station at will, and it will be convenient to conduct experiments at that time. Ms. Haida means, do I have to go to the space station to conduct experiments? Bo Chang frowned slightly. I thought the experiment was over, but I didn't expect it to just begin. Yes, Haida looked up at Ba Kane, the power in your body is very complex. You can only study it roughly with the equipment here, so you still have to go to the space station. There are many more equipment there. Esta, transfer 10 million credit points to Ba Kane, just as a reward for cooperating with the experiment today. Okay, Ms. Haida. Esta nodded and lowered her eyebrows, then took out her mobile phone and directly transferred 10 million credit points to Ba Kane's mobile phone. Love option, no response at all. Ba Kane didn't know whether to accept it for a while. He hesitated for a moment. Anyway, the space station will leave a teleportation ring, so just treat it as a transaction. Ba Kane took out the silver-white teleportation ring from the system space, spread his palm, and said, then this ring will be handed over to you, Esta. The acting station master of the space station felt a little strange for a while. After all, the ring is usually used when proposing. But now, Esta, don't think about it. Thinking so. Esta reached out and took the teleportation ring from Bo Chang, and after his explanation, she understood how to use it. The experiment was over. Bo Chang had no intention of staying here for long, so he turned and left. After returning to the Yuchen Inn, Bo Chang took out his mobile phone to confirm the payment. 10 million credit points were credited to his account, and Bo Chang became rich instantly. However, Bo Chang's heart was calm. He just thought, should I go buy a base now, or go to Tabizi and give the teleportation ring to Fuxian? Or give the teleportation ring to Kinkai and let her pass it to Fuxian, so I don't have to run so far. Sitting on the bed and thinking for a while, Bo Chang clicked on the group chat of the Starry Sky Train family and started typing. Bo Chang, what are you doing? Bo Chang, cat poking its head out. JPG. After waiting for a few minutes, Sing was the first to reply to the message. Sing, I am shopping with Sanyuki, and we just bought some things. Sing, what about you? Is the experiment done? Bo Chang, it's over for now. Sing, where are you? Bo Chang was about to type a reply to Sing. Walter Yang, Dan Hung and I just rescued Yukong Sijo's daughter in Huixing Port, and now we are preparing to return to Xingcha Sea Center. Sing, Yukong Sijo's daughter? Does Yukong Sijo already have a daughter? Walter Yang, yes, but they don't look very similar. Bo Chang remembers that Yukong is a fox-eared girl with green hair and white tail, and her daughter should also have green hair. Sing, Pam is shocked. JPG. Walter Yang, let's not talk about it. We have returned to Xingcha Sea Center. Next, we will go to Sichuan Palace as a guest. Does anyone want to come together? We decided to have dinner here. Sing, I'll come. Bo Chang, I'll come too. Sanyuki, me. Bo Chang put away his phone when he saw this. About the daughter who doesn't look very similar to Yukong Sijo. Bo Chang is quite curious. Besides, it's time to have dinner now. Since Tian Bosi wants to treat us, why not go? He stood up and stretched his waist. Bo Chang started to move. Yuchen Inn is not far from Sichuan Palace. Bo Chang arrived not long after he left. As for why he didn't fly, this is the Luofu Immortal Boat. It's not Yellow 6. It is forbidden to fly randomly in the sky, and there are many stars flying endlessly. These two conditions are. This makes it impossible for Bo Chang to fly freely on the Luofu Immortal Boat. Something could happen if you're not careful. When Bo Chang came to the gate of Sichin Palace, Walter Yang and Dan Heng are already waiting here, but March Chi and Scene have not arrived yet. Chapter 239, Sichin Palace is enjoying the meal. In the evening, the clouds rolled and the wind relaxed. The setting sun gradually disappeared among the buildings, leaving only a trace of red clouds lingering on the horizon. Bo Chang met Dan Heng and Walter Yang at the gate of Sichin Palace. The two of them are waiting for everyone here. Seeing Bo Chang coming, they all said hello. I've kept you waiting for so long. Where are March, Sing, and the others? Haven't they come here yet? Bo Chang asked. Dan Heng shook his head. You are the first one here. You and the others are probably playing somewhere far away. It will take some time. Just wait. Uncle Yang, Bo Chang, and I are waiting here. You can go in first to meet the helmsman. Good. Walter Yang did not decline. After nodding lightly towards Bo Chang, this middle-aged man, who made people feel a sense of security, turned around and entered Sichin Palace. There was Yunkai leading the way at the door, so he didn't have to worry about not finding anyone or getting lost after entering. And Bo Chang and others have already visited Sichin Palace once. It is not easy to get lost. Being idle is quite boring. Bo Chang started chatting with Dan Heng. From beginning to end, I learned about their story of rescuing Yukong's daughter at Huixing Port. It started with a fox named 11 Kui, who commissioned an unknown guest to find Xing Ni, a fox who crashed in Huixing Port. That is, Yukong's daughter. It is said that the sky dome over Changelshan broke down due to construction problems. There was an area that was about to explode. It all depends on King Ni flying the Xingcha to the sky for emergency repairs. This prevented an explosion accident. But the Xingcha also had problems during the emergency repair process. Crash landing at Huixing Port. It happened that Dan Heng and Walter Yang were nearby, so they set off directly to find Xing Ni. Finally defeated a group of fertile creatures. Rescue King Ni. Speaking of which, why did you suddenly appear in Huixing Port? Bo Chang touched his chin. Dan Heng looked at him calmly and said, didn't you also go to Liuyandu? Bo Chang. It makes sense, I can't refute it. Bo Chang laughed dumbly. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 200. No one followed what Walter Yang said before, and they ran as they should. But there is no danger now. After all, Bo Chang has already reached a deal with the Star Core Hunter. As for why Dan Heng knew that they went to Liuyandu, this is because on March 7th, I sent a photo of everyone having lunch on the Star Dome train to the group. It's up to you, why are you going to Liuyandu? Did GZI ask you to go back? Dan Heng crossed his arms. Ba Kame said, a person from Xianzhou asked Bai Lu to save a person. Seeing that she is also a doctor in the alchemy division, Bai Lu agreed. We can only make a trip and go back to the train to have a meal. Jitzi's craftsmanship is really good. Bo Chang thought about it. Dan Heng's face still had no expression. So have you rescued anyone? The person was not found. He seems to be dead. After all, Liuyandu is a bit chaotic. Bo Chang showed an embarrassed smile. The Star Core disaster caused the world-breaking creation to appear on the Luofu immortal boat. The Jianmu came back to life, and many fertile and evil creatures appeared in this place. What's more, there are members of the Yao King secret who are living outside the country and are trying to capture Liang Mu. Unlucky guy. It's normal to die accidentally. Oh, that's it? Dan Heng didn't care very much. Things are unpredictable, and it is quite normal for something unexpected to happen. While the two were chatting. Hi. Dan Heng. Bo Chang. Are you waiting for us here? A clear female voice came from far and near. Bo Chang looked around. I saw Yu Chiu, Xing Bailu, Kinke, and Zillowa walking slowly. The beautiful woman who appeared on the street at the same time attracted a lot of attention along the way. Bo Chang replied casually, yes, since you are all here, we can also go in. Dan Heng nodded, then turned, and walked towards Sichin Palace. I didn't think about saying a word to anyone else. March 7th has long been accustomed to Dan Heng like this. She followed the cold-faced little Qing Long casually, and greeted, Zillowa, Xing, hurry up and follow. Xing and Zillowa who originally planned to chat with Bo Chang. I found that March 7th left in such a hurry. I could only catch up quickly. Bo Chang stood there, watching Zillowa and Xing trotting forward with guitars on their backs. Kinke walked slowly over and asked, they've all left, why don't you leave? I'm not waiting for you. Bo often looked at the mahjong girl. As soon as these words came out, Bai Lu, who was walking slowly beside Kinke, raised his head. The mahjong girl was stunned and said, wait for me. What do you mean? It's not interesting. I just need your help to bring something to Master Taba. Bo Chang stretched out his hand and took out the last teleportation ring from the system space. Stretch out your hand. Kinke subconsciously stretched out his hand and spread his palm. Bo Chang handed over the teleportation ring. Seeing the object in his palm, Kinke's eyes widened slightly and said, teleportation ring. That's right. Bo Chang nodded, I promised this to Master Tabu. You can give it to her when the time comes. As for how to use it, you can ask Bai Lu, she will know. Saying. Bo Chang rubbed the little Lolita's head. March 7th, who had walked some distance ahead, turned back and shouted, hurry up, too. Come on, Bo Chang replied, then looked at Kinke and Bai Lu, let's go too. Step into the gate of Sichin Palace. What comes into view is a splendid palace. Bo Chang and others have been here once, but compared to last time, this time the mood was different. Bo Chang took a good look at the majestic Sichin Palace. The impact of the Star Core disaster is still continuing. As a result, the clerks of Tianbo department were in a hurry and kept processing various documents. Bo Chang and others walked a few steps. Then I saw a foxman running out. Dan Heng thought for a moment and said, Miss Kingney, what's wrong with you? Hear someone say hello. Only the fox who was charging with his head buried in his head stopped. Is it, my benefactor? I'm fine, just in a bad mood. The foxman named Kingney even drooped his ears slightly. You can see it. Kingney was indeed in a bad mood. Is this Yukong's daughter? It doesn't look like. Bo Chang quietly looked at the foxman in front of him. It's not just the hair color that is different. The eyes of both parties are also different in color. And she's not as pretty as the helmsman. Bo Chang muttered in his heart. Qing Ni can only be called a middle-class figure, far inferior to Ting Yun, Yukong, and other fox figures. My dear, don't worry about me. Mom has already prepared dinner inside. I'll go out first. After Kingney finished speaking, she left. Dan Heng had no intention of comforting him. It's strange, do fox people like to say the word benefactor? Bo Chang thought to himself. Chapter 240 Assisting in Performance. We walked again under the sunset. Ba Kang and others soon arrived at the place where Yukong Commander was entertaining everyone, led by Yun Kai-jun. Since it's dinner, of course, it cannot be enjoyed at the workplace of Sichin Palace. Instead, it is in a side hall next to it. At this time, Walter Yang has taken a seat. In Luofu Xianzhou, when there are distinguished guests, it is customary to have a small table for each person. The distance between each person is also relatively far. The first one is naturally Yukong Sijou. The following are Walter Yang, Dan Heng, Ba Kang, etc. Everyone sits in 2 rows. Seeing is opposite Bakame. There are tea, cakes, fruits and dishes on the small table. You can eat whatever you want. Yakang chatted with everyone casually for a few words, and then invited them to eat. The food in Luofusianzhou is different from that of Yali Luo 6. It has the taste of Bakame before he crossed over, so he ate very comfortably and happily. Yakang chatted with everyone at the banquet. No one was ignored. Even Bakame, who had played tricks on her. Yakang also greeted them with a smile. During the conversation, Yakang rarely mentioned his children, but instead talked about everything else. Bakame heard a lot of strange stories. Sanyuki also took the initiative to tell everyone a story. Although he didn't speak very fluently, Danhan and Walter Yang reminded and supplemented him. It was quite interesting. Zilawa also volunteered to sing a rock song. I have to say, Zilawa's singing skills are excellent. Even if she sings a cappella, it sounds beautiful, as if she has her own accompaniment. After she plays the guitar, it makes people intoxicated. The fox ears on Yakang's head trembled slightly, and he praised, Miss Zilawa's performance is really great. If she can run a business in Luofusianzhou, she will definitely become an incredible star. The blonde queen has both talent and beauty. It's easy to become popular. Someone did say that to me, but everyone has their own ambitions. Zilawa shook her head. Yakang just mentioned it casually and didn't want to continue. The rock music ended. Bo Chang was also pushed out by March 7 to play a piece of Erhu,